What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and thanks to the power of Zoom, I am here with the North Carolina-based emo alternative rock band Feelings Like Fire. How you guys doing today?
Woo!
We're
Woo!
doing good.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
up?
Glad to be here.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
well, I mean, we've already been at this for a while off camera, and I've been having a ton of fun talking to you guys. So I'm excited to kind of like get into the meat and potatoes of what we're here for.
I'm excited as well. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
First things first, your brand new cover of Bad Romance by Lady Gaga is officially out. I'm always curious because you look at bands like Our Last Night and Fame on Fire, and they bring rock and metal sounds to pop pop songs. They cover them in a heavier sense. What is the songwriting process and trying to transpose it to another genre? Like, is it a super intensive progress, or do you just like switch up the instruments?
So I'm a big fan of pop music, and so when we were originally arranging that cover, I I've always been a big Lady Gaga fan and just overall a big fan of Max Martin's songwriting. And so I wanted to um, take uh, like our heavy sound and apply that to like a pop song and basically make like um, a heavy ass pop song. So,
On
um,
your pop jam, basically.
yeah, exactly. When we were arranging the song, that was I was finding ways to like um, I didn't want to like one for one replicate the song, so a lot of the guitar parts are different, but it overall is following a very similar like song and instrument structure from the original.
Yeah, I think the guitar riff is honestly amazing, and I'm
Yeah,
like
I'm
same
singing it.
way.
I'm listening to the guitar riff in my head right now. It's
Yeah,
nuts.
it's so good. It was stuck in my
It's
head. I
loud.
remember Matt showing me the first version of the song, and it instantly had me excited because I was the same way. My dad, funny enough, like he's a metalhead and everything, but he loves Lady Gaga, and I think she writes amazing songs. So as soon as Matt presented the idea, I was super excited. I don't even really think I had to look up any of the words too much. I basically knew it right then and there. So we just started recording, and some magic happened for sure.
Were there any other options for covers, or was it like a specific vision that you had for that song, Matt?
Um, that's a difficult one. So I have always been a fan of like uh doing cover songs. And so me and Blake throughout the years have covered probably close to 2 dozen songs.
Yeah.
But that song specifically, I think at the time, I think I arranged it around 2021. Me and Blake were in a band at that time, a different band called Undying Eyes. And I think there's something about Bad Romance that was like really stuck in my head. And I think it was around the time I was deep diving into like Max Martin's songwriting style. And I think Bad Romance like really spoke to me because I was going through like a really bad relationship at that time. So it was like I was drawing parallels with that song in my own personal life.
How do you think this cover like kind of introduces people to your sound, and how close is it to what you do with your original songwriting?
I think
Um,
it's pretty funny because like the cover sounds a bit different than our other songs. Honestly, the cover is a lot heavier. I mean, lower tuned guitars, breakdowns that are like really aggressive, a lot of aggressive vocals. So I feel like it's a little bit different in a way.
and this song, like I said, it was originally arranged and written in like 2021. So it was actually kind of the process of the song was started before Feelings Like Fire was created and before like the lineup was solidified. So it's more of like a snapshot in time.
Yeah.
But more so, my vision with like wanting to release it was I wanted to kind of show the dynamics in our music because we've released Hollow Heart, which is more of like a post-hardcore type song. We did a couple acoustic songs, and so I wanted to showcase like the dynamics of our sound and show like we're capable of doing like really heavy shit like this. We're also capable of going extremely soft with like the acoustic stuff.
Do you think that that's an indicator of what's to come in the future from you guys? Because, like you said, it's kind of a heavier sound. Do you guys see yourself exploring that side a little bit more in future releases?
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like something that me and Matt talked about whenever we formed the band is that we're basically just doing it and like kind of writing music that we like to listen to, just
Hmm.
kind of along those lines.
yeah, we wanted to, um, like I've been a fan of emo music and metalcore for over a decade at this point, and so I've just wanted to put out music that spoke a little bit more to what caters to like my musical preferences. And I've always been a believer that authenticity comes from artists who do that, artists who make music for themselves. It tends to be a little bit more authentic than artists who intentionally try to stick to a genre because they think that genre is popular. Like we have in the works three new songs. One song is very similar in vein to like Hollow Heart. We have another song that's a little bit more of like a Midwest emo style song, and then we have like another song that's very similar to Bad Romance, where it's like a metalcore, like pretty heavy song.
That's dope. See, now that you mention it, like I'm also thinking of like Ice Nine Kills when they did the Adele cover. It's like
Oh,
Yeah,
sometimes it just works so well. And like I always it's almost one of those things. It's like you forget that song exists, and then you hear another band do it in such a different way. It's like, holy shit.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I actually just recently was kind of going back and listening to all like the uh, Punk Goes Pop records. I love all those covers. They're
Yeah.
amazing.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. Runaway, the cover by Silverstein. Oh man.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
man. Silverstein's like my favorite band of all time.
Hmm.
I got all their autographs on my arm. I'm gonna go see them on May 14th, VIP. Shane, I'm excited.
Woohoo!
Is that Greensboro?
Yeah, Hangar 1819.
Nice.
I came in later, so like they already had Bad Romance picked and written. And when they released Hollow Heart, I messaged Matt and I was like, "Man, you guys are gonna climb to one of the best local bands around here with music like that." And he responds, "Hey, want to be the bass player?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, I do." And I went and he sent me all their discography, and I was like, "Oh, I can see we're doing a Lady Gaga covers." He was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "All right." So I like the juxtaposition. Just speaking from a point of someone who's come in and not had any part in the writing it. I like he was saying, like, there's no point in being soft because people want you to be soft, or being hard because people want you to be hard. I like, hey, I'm soft, and then boom, it's in your face. I'm hard. I mean, I guess that's to, you know, yeah, I know. I was gonna say, I guess the phrasing there is, are we not doing phrasing anymore? Oops. But yeah, no, I'm here for it, man. It's sick.
What's the origin story for the rest of you guys, and what got you all wanting to make music together?
So Feelings Like Fire was originally um, it was meant to be like a one-off type thing. I had written Hollow Heart towards the end of In Dying Eyes tenure, like right as we were going on hiatus. I had the inspiration to write that song. And so initially, when the song was written, I wanted to create like a local super group.
Hmm.
So I had hit up our drummer Alan. He played with the bands that was called Common Cold, changed to Neuron Activation, and he was like the perfect fit for the song. And so I just wanted it to originally be like a one-off type thing. But then as the song was like coming together and as we were working on it more, I realized that it was something that was worth pursuing. And it was something where I've always been a fan of like emo music. And so with me and Blake, working on a whole bunch of music together, me and Blake sat down one night after a couple drinks and we're like, yeah, do you want to do this thing? And we decided to like actually make the band like an actual band. And so
Yeah.
um,
I
that
think
was
another thing that we made a point was like there's not an I don't think there's enough bands out there doing the kind of music that we're going for anymore. I mean, like everybody recently, I don't know if you've noticed, but they've been on kind of like a nostalgia trip where whether it be like music, ways of listening to music, movies, video games, like all that stuff, where we're all kind of craving something from the past. And, we just thought it'd be really cool. Like, hey, let's do some like kind of like emo music, but with like an old school feel. And I mean, like I was just sold instantly because Hollow Heart kind of has that kind of old school like pop punk emo kind of vibe, and we were just like, yeah, let's just throw together a band and go for that.
Who would you guys say, maybe speaking for yourselves individually, but also thinking about collectively for Feelings Like Fire, who would you say are your three biggest influences, and how do you incorporate it into the band's overall sound?
I think you can hear it a little bit in the music, but like my big influences are like Pierce the Veil, The Used, and like Bring Me the Horizon. Like, I love how those bands have had such musically dynamic and diverse releases, and I think um, like just for what I am looking for in the sounds, like what they're doing, I feel like is very innovative. And like at any point of any of those bands' career, like they were always leading the curve on like the genre innovation. And so for me, like I've always been a fan of like not only their music, but like what they do um artistically. So I very much am putting a lot of their inspiration into like the sound and like how we conduct things.
My biggest inspiration, like coming into my own as a musician, was the Rev, was Avenged Sevenfold, and I always admired how like they had sounding the seventh trumpet, and when they went to Mad Dog or whatever his name was to do Waking the Fallen, they were like, "Look, this first album's crazy. It's Oingo Boingo. It's like Goblin rock and stuff. We want this next one to be more more refined. We want symphony in there. We want to do some clean vocals, and then when we get to our third album, we want to go full on." Change the sound. So they already had City of Evil planned to be different before it was ever written. And I personally think City of Evil is like one of the best metal albums of our time. I jam that stuff all the time. So, I really enjoy Avenged Sevenfold. They were a big inspiration to me. Silverstein was right on the tail of my obsession with Avenged Sevenfold. And for me, and I Avenged Sevenfold, they're great musicians. And when the Rev died, I really respect that they kept going for their fan base. The fan base really wanted it. But he was such an integral part of their writing that it didn't really hit the same when he wasn't there. So I sort of shifted, my musical paradigm. But like if I had to pick three, probably be, Avenged Sevenfold, Silverstein, and then I grew up listening to my mom's music. So like Guns N' Roses and Skid Row.
Oh,
I
nice.
That's why I have long hair still. I'm still a very heavy believer that, you gotta bang your head. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I bring to the table. Some nostalgia, I guess, and long hair.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
I can
love
kind
that.
of relate with that part. Like I mean, bands that inspired me to like, I don't know. I enjoyed music when I first started hearing bands like Kiss, Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
and Pink Floyd. I loved those bands growing up. But then I remember getting introduced to uh like metalcore and emo by Asking Alexandria. Their record Stand Up and Scream will always be one of my all-time favorites. I mean, like just the entire album front to back is a masterpiece. I love that record.
So that was your like transition from like borrowing your parents' music to like
Yeah,
kind of it
yeah,
was
that's
yeah, As I Lay Dying did that for me with Shadows Our Security. That was the
oh
first
yeah.
thing first time I ever heard someone scream in double bass, and I was like, this is it.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, all it took was like it was weird because I wasn't 100% sold on the vocals at first, but hearing that
Me
double
either.
bass and the
The
chugging
double
and stuff, I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous!" Like, I mean, I've heard bands like
Bluetooth.
Metallica and Slayer and Megadeth and stuff, but I mean, like As I Lay Dying or Asking Alexandria, it was like a whole different ball game. So I feel like I will blame a lot of this on Asking. Sleeping with
It's all
Sirens.
their fault.
Sleeping with
Oh yeah.
Sirens is one of those bands that obsessed with. Their whole discography is pure art.
I went through a
Kellen
huge Sleepy
Quinn,
phase.
yeah, Kellen Quinn is probably one of the main reasons why I do vocals. Like I think he is one of the most incredible singers that I've ever heard in my whole life. And then on top of that, I mean, like more along the lines of what inspires me to kind of go for the sound that we're currently doing is Silverstein. I mean, like Silverstein is like one of those legendary emo bands that have like such a good mixture between like the emo sound and then like a very aggressive heavy sound. Like they've got some amazing songs. So yeah, I mean there's like one of our
Their
unreleased
new album is
songs.
fire.
Yeah, one of our unreleased songs. I was telling Matt, I was like, man, like this gives me literally like a Sleeping with Sirens and Silverstein vibe. Like he just listened to Discovering the Waterfront and Let's Cheers to This like back to back and was like, hey, I'm gonna write this. I'm gonna write this.
That
That's what
album
I like.
saved me in ninth grade. I was an emo kid, got dumped by a girl, had my heart smashed on. And had wore my hoodie and have the wired headphones hiding in my ear, and I was listening to Discovering Waterfront on repeat. It was
Such a
like
good record.
kept me
Amazing
sane,
record.
man. It's crazy.
I'm so happy to hear these stories because it reminds me a lot of like my own upbringing with music because the two biggest bands that my dad introduced me to were Rush and Iron Maiden.
Oh yeah,
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good
so,
band.
yes.
but then at
Run
the
to
same time, I also
run.
discovered on my own, I ended up discovering Blue Oyster Cult and Alice Cooper. Those are my two big ones.
Okay, okay.
So then, when I get into middle school, I'm getting into AFI, and then Linkin Park, and then
Yes.
Motionless in White. And Motionless in White
Yep.
was my first metalcore band. And like you said, I had a hard time adjusting to the vocals at the time, but there was just something about it that made me keep coming back to it.
Oh yeah,
I
Um,
remember seventh grade me telling people like, not everyone can sing. Like, there's still he's just express like he's expressing himself in a different way. You know, like it's. I
exactly.
was like, people are like, why is he screaming? I'm like, because you know that's what he wants. Oh man,
Gets the emotion across, conveys the emotion.
Yeah, it took me a while, and eventually, this is what I'm really proud of. I convinced my dad that they were good, and now he's a fan of all these bands.
same here.
Um,
hell
Oh,
yeah.
I definitely
so,
can relate to that.
Same with
so,
my mom. I got my mom into most of my music.
yep.
That's
I,
hell
awesome.
yeah.
I got my dad hated Motionless in White for the longest time. Then we saw them on the Trinity of Terror tour because my dad was already big on Ice Nine Kills at the time, and so Motionless played after them. He's like, I might have been wrong about them. I was like, I told you.
That's all it takes sometimes to like sell you on something. Like
Yeah,
I remember like the first time I heard Attila, I was like, I don't really like this band. This band, like
Party rock,
the sound of
party
the
metal.
vocals and everything, I was like, I'm not really feeling this. And then I seen
yeah.
them at Warped Tour for the first time, and I was blown away. I was like, this is probably my most favorite band right now.
It also happened to my dad with Ghost, which you would think that my dad would like gravitate to Ghost pretty easily because they've got kind of a throwback
The
sound.
80s
Yeah,
sound.
definitely.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't until we saw them open for Iron Maiden. It was like a 4 hour drive from Jacksonville to Charlotte. So I had all of Ghost's albums at the time, which was only like three of them, three and two EPs. So like we're listening to all of their music on the way up there, and he's like kind of still not really feeling it. They get off stage. He's like, "That was amazing. That this song was so good. Oh my God." And Iron Maiden hadn't even gone on yet. So like he was already riding the high of like Ghost. I was like,
So
"It's
cool.
about time."
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
Mm,
my dad wasn't sold on the metalcore stuff instantly. He would always complain about like say the metalcore emo stuff. The singers would always have such a high voice. He'd be like, "Man, they
yeah.
just sound so whiny and like I just can't get past that." And I'm like, "Dad, they're really good, trust me." But eventually like after a while it started to win him over but mostly he would listen to bands like As I Lay Dying, or like with less whiny vocals,
Yeah.
and started to really get into it. And I remember the first time he got to go to one of those kinds of shows, I surprised him. Like, he fell in love with this band called Ginger. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Of
They're
course.
amazing. Uh, for Father's Day, I surprised him with tickets to go see them in South Carolina, and oh my God, it just, I mean, he's already into metal, of course, by this point, like the heavy stuff, but blew him away because there's nothing like seeing those bands for the first time. It's so intense and in your face and loud, and they just display like uh these like crazy abilities with the drumming, the guitar playing, the vocals. I mean, it's like everything with skill wise is like turned up to 10, just crazy stuff.
Yeah, sometimes it's kind of hard for me to remember what came first because around the same time I want to say Black Veil Brides was first for me, and then I got into Motionless
Mm.
because like all within like a few weeks of each other, I was like doing deep dives on AFI, Linkin Park, then Black Veil Brides, then Motionless in White, and then from there with Motionless, it was over. I was listening. I got into Ice Nine Kills super early and like telling everybody that they were going to be the next big thing. And now look at them now and they're gigantic.
They
Sounds
are.
like you spent a lot of time on LimeWire.
It's funny because I literally have like my computer is just playing like a YouTube video in the background. I have Miles doing like a guitar playthrough of their like Silver Scream and Welcome to Horrorwood, just like all the way through it. I think the
Yep.
stream's like it's like 6 hours. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're an incredible band, and I'm sure every subscriber that I have is probably tired of me talking about them. But
Dude, I could never. I'm a super, like I said before, I'm a super big fan of horror.
hmm
So whenever they started doing like the horror thing, like I mean, I just instantly fell in love with them. Like it honestly took me a little bit to start to enjoy Ice Nine Kills as I do now. But like I started listening to the Silver Scream, um, and fell in love with them and got to go see them live, and just like you know the theatrics are incredible, like the costumes and everything, and them just kind of like reenacting some scenes from horror movies on stage. It's just perfect, like the perfect band for me, and they sound good. They're a
yeah,
heavy metalcore
Yeah.
band, that do incredibly good songs. So I mean, like, I couldn't even ask for a more perfect band.
I'm so glad you said it, and I really couldn't have said it better myself because that's exactly how I feel about them.
That's
I, I've
awesome.
I've been a fan for over 10 years now, and I didn't get to see them live until after the first Silver Scream came out. So finally getting to see them, especially in my hometown of all places, that was like I still remember clear as day where I stood in the audience, what time I got to the venue, everything about that show was incredible.
Wow.
And then they came back. That was my last show before COVID, and then they were my first show after COVID. And it was like a month after Welcome to Horrorwood came out. It was the first show of the tour. It was the same day because Bad Omens was on the tour with them. It was the day that they dropped the title track to Death of Peace of Mind, and nobody knew about it. And I was telling people like, okay, my dad and my best friend from like middle school were with me. I'm like, guys, the rest of their set is not going to sound like that, so don't let that fool you.
Yeah, it's funny because like, looking back, I started to dive into their discography more, and I love all of their music. They're an incredible band. The fact that it took them so long to blow up is honestly crazy because, they've been at it for a long time, and I think they had really figured out their song, especially when they got to Every Trick in the Book. I mean, like that is probably uh, it's
One of
it's
the
hard to
best
say. It
metalcore
might be
records
my
of all
most
time.
favorite record by them, which, like of course I love the horror stuff, but Every Trick in the Book is just like all the songs, like the way they're written, they're perfect. But it's funny because I think the first time I seen Ice Nine Kills, Like I had only heard of them. I seen them at Warp Tour, and I'm pretty sure it was like 2015. So, Silver Scream hadn't even come out yet. And I mean, I remember hearing Spencer like just laying down some crazy screams. I was like, "Whoa, this guy knows how to do it. That is incredible. They sound amazing live."
Yeah,
It's
they're
funny because I saw Motionless in White at Warp Tour in 2016, and like I didn't know who Spencer was at the time, but Spencer came out and did Abigail,
yep.
and I was like, "Oh yeah, shout out to Motionless in White for featuring like a young up and coming artist." And it's like, oh shit! A couple years later, I discovered who Ice Nine Kills was, and it's like, oh
And the
that
fact
was
that Spencer's
crazy.
older than Chris Motionless.
Crazy.
Like you said, Matt, I do think, even though I prefer other albums, that album is just a masterclass in lyricism, in metatextual songwriting and referential material. That's where it all started. And it's to this day, so many songs hold up so well. And it's so funny we're talking about Ice Nine Kills now because when I looked at your guys' logo, it kind of gave me like a similar vibe with the way their logo looks. But also also Black Veil Brides and just kind of that old school post-hardcore metalcore like late 2000s early 2010s aesthetic. Was that
Mm.
a conscious effort that you had into making like the overall visual side of the band? How did
Definitely.
that come about?
So all of that is our friend Jeremiah Moorfield.
Kind of
Um,
dreadful.
yeah, kind of dreadful on Instagram. He's done all of our artwork, all of our graphics, all of that is him. And so like when we were initially wanting to make like an actual band out of Feelings Like Fire, I consulted him and I'm like, hey, we're looking for a logo. We're going for like that nostalgic, like early 2000s emo metalcore type vibe. And that was what he cooked up with. That was like his first draft. And it was like perfect right out the gate.
Speaking of the visuals, I'm curious as to what the overall vision was for the cover art for Hollow Heart because I was so enamored with it when I was looking at it. So I'm kind of curious what you were trying to convey with the visuals and how it coincides with the music.
Yeah, once again, that was Jeremiah Moorfield, kind of dreadful on Instagram and social media.
Look,
I had a rough vision for it. I wanted the idea of there to be like a heart, but I wanted it to be like kind of distorted, kind of fucked up, because the song is very dark lyrically. Um, and yeah, I don't know exactly how he cooked that up, but Jeremiah is like an absolute wizard when it comes to all that stuff.
Before I let you guys go, we have arrived to my favorite part of every interview, and that is a speed round. So I've got five
uh-oh.
questions. If you want to elaborate, you can. But I got five questions. The first one being your favorite song to play live.
Well, the fun thing is we have not been able to get together and play any of the songs like together as a collective band, but I think my favorite song that we've done thus far is actually one of our upcoming songs called Rose Colored Glasses Are One Hell of a Drug.
Hmm.
Song is probably one of the catchiest things that we've ever written.
I could say the same as far as like my favorite song that we've done so far. I just really like the vibe. But her other unreleased song, I feel like will be my favorite song to play live just because of the energy. Along with Hollow Heart, it's gonna be really fast, really upbeat. Hope to get the crowd moving.
Your most embarrassing moment on stage.
One of my more embarrassing moments was like when I first got into like crowd work and was like trying to like talk to the crowd over the mic and just when you do something for the first time in front of an audience with all that like social pressure, you say some really dumb shit. So like I was like trying to get the audience like hyped up for a breakdown. And I was like, when this next part hits, I want to see you spin your dicks. And the whole crowd just like looks at me like I had three heads. I'm like, oh man, I should not have said that to a room full of people.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
If you got life insurance, fucking prove it.
Man, that's hilarious. Oh my
Oh.
God. I will say there was a time where like I was young. I was a teenager. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but there was like this bar that I had went into to like play some guitar and like jam with like this band that was in there because I'd lived in the area, and I went in there and we was jamming some songs. It was a good time. There was some people in there, but then uh, my other friend that was also there with his guitar and amp started to play "Walk" by Pantera, and I proceeded to attempt to play that song because I thought I knew it and absolutely butchered it and continued to try to keep playing it since I was already up there. And I even like kind of like lowered my volume level just so like I wasn't heard all that much. And somebody like was like, "I can't hear you, man," and cranked the volume up. And then I was just continued to butcher the song and was like, "Yep, you know what? I am gonna stop playing right now." Luckily, it wasn't a show. It wasn't anything serious. We were all just jamming out, but I was extremely anxious about it and was just having a fun time with it. And then I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not gonna keep playing and embarrass myself."
Your dream tour lineup.
Oh, that would be very hard. But honestly, dream tour lineup would be like us opening and then having like Pierce the Veil and like Bring Me the Horizon. Those
Hmm.
are like two of my favorite bands of all time. And um, just getting to open for those bands on tour would be like spiritual for me.
Yeah, for me, I would say Pierce the Veil, Sleeping with Sirens. I would love to see those two bands play live with which they're actually doing uh, a tour right now.
Hmm.
And the tickets are just incredibly expensive. And honestly, I just can't afford to go right now, sadly. So I'm probably gonna have to skip out on it.
I'm sure they'll do it again at the very least, because I know they do festivals a lot together. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
eventually they'll do a whole tour together again.
Yeah, it
Um,
was funny because like I seen them play together at when we were young, and I was just like, man, we need a tour
yeah.
because like I just love to see them play together.
Your favorite thing to do outside of music?
That's a hard one. Blake, I'll pass it off to you first. I need time to think.
Yeah, I was about to say I feel like this is going to be a little difficult for me too. I mean, I really like sports.
Hmm.
Oddly enough, I like going to play basketball. I like golf is pretty fun. I like going to the driving range and whacking some balls or fishing. Fishing's also a really good time.
Hmm.
So those are just a few things that I do outside of music.
I think mine, I have like two hobbies outside of music. They're kind of different but kind of similar. Recently I've been getting back into like playing video games.
Hmm.
I took like a 5 year hiatus from video games back when I was like heavily pursuing music. But I've been doing music for so long, I've almost been a little bit on the burned out side of that. So I've been having a lot of fun getting back into playing video games, and um, yeah, I've like rediscovered my love for gaming. And then my other hobby is shooting firearms. I'm a big enjoyer of going to the range and poking holes in paper. So I've been going out like maybe once or twice a month and going shooting. It's fun.
And the last question, this one's always my favorite one. The song you wrote that means the most to you.
I think for me, Hollow Heart is, at least of the songs that we have written thus far, Hollow Heart means the most because it was written at a really rocky part of my life. I was currently going through a really bad breakup with an ex girlfriend. I was going through kind of like a breakup with my former band. And so, I mean, it was written at a very rough time. And I mean, in that song, there's like the metaphors of like alcoholism, but at the time I wasn't really too much of a drinker, but I was using alcoholism as like a metaphor for like being in a toxic relationship and kind of feeling like you have to be around that person. And so like even now, like reading those lyrics, it just makes me feel very it brings me back to that moment in my life.
I will say, for me, uh, rose-colored glasses. Not only is it my favorite song that we've done so far, but I remember getting the mix from Matt and him showing me like the guitar riff and everything. I just fell in love with it. So I was like, man, before you do anything with this song, because Matt's really good about just writing stuff really quick. He's quick with it. I was like, let me come up with lyrics to this because I can already tell like, this is something that would mean a lot to me. And so yeah, I just kind of scrambled up some old ideas that I had written in my notes. Just kind of getting in my feels here and there and just coming up with like a line or two, and then we just kind of I scrambled them all together and made it more cohesive, and then yeah, ended up writing the lyrics for that song, and I love it.
I can't wait to hear it. Well, before then, I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I know I know we're kind of cutting it close. Um, so I appreciate you guys staying for as long as you have. Thank
Yeah,
you so much, and I can't wait to do it again sometime.
for sure. And thank you so much again for having us on the show. It really, really means so much to have a place where we can not only discuss our music, but also have like a really comfortable environment to kind of showcase like what we have to offer and like bring that to the world. So thank you so much.
That really does mean a lot, and the feeling is mutual. I love having these conversations with musicians, whether they're up and coming or established. I don't discriminate. I think they're all fantastic. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys do in the future. And to everybody who watched this interview, thank you for watching. And until the next one, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.